The relationships between coaches and their players are often unique bonds that you won't find anywhere else. The level of trust, respect, and mutual understanding between the two leads to something akin to a familial bond. However, it is also not uncommon for coaches to be told that they are not there to be a friend, but a coach. So what exactly is a coach? How is their support different to other forms of aid? What role do they fulfill in this jigsaw puzzle world of sports? Are these enough rhetorical questions? I'll hand over to Navin to get us started.
Welcome to our coaching report for SSEH 2270. This video includes two parts, part A being a review and reflection of an audio interview done with Mark Lee, and part B with some information about what coaching is, the differences between coaching and other forms of teaching, and a short interview of our thoughts with a badminton coach. Mark is Perth's most prominent youth soccer coach and a former professional soccer player. He is the owner and director of Mark Lee Football Coaching, Soccer Superheroes, and Pro Football Training. In the interview, he was asked questions such as what the priorities of coaching are, the first step of building new relationships when coaching a new set of people, getting the message across clearly to different kinds of people, what makes good feedback and how to give positive and negative feedback, what makes or breaks a team, how to deal with setbacks and challenges as a team, and future advice for careers not specific to coaching. Going on to review the answers to these questions, I will also be adding some personal thoughts or experiences to each one. For the first question of the priorities of coaching, to quote Mark, his response was centered around, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. He highlighted and focused on the fact that you need to show interest in your trainees and make them feel comfortable and show them you have confidence in their abilities. He also mentioned highlighting your own mistakes as a coach to show them that they are allowed to make mistakes and give them the freedom to try new things. This would relate to the self-determination theory of a coach supporting autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Showing trainees that you can have confidence in them promotes competence and relatedness, while allowing them and giving them the platform to try new things promotes autonomy, and as such, would make trainees more motivated and inspired to improve. With regard to building new relationships, Mark mentions greeting people appropriately for the situation, learning their names, what their interests are, what they did over the weekend, how many siblings they have, and pets, if any. These all immediately increase the connection between two people and promotes relatedness. I would also suggest icebreaker and team building activities to help facilitate communication and help people discover shared interests that might increase the rate of development of the relationships within a team or between a coach and a trainee. Basically, Mark mentions communicating is best learned by practice. Everyone is different and there's no one perfect way to communicate that works with and for everybody. Using trial and error through the process will help, and practice makes perfect. Keeping instructions short and straight to the point will also help maintain focus and attention when it matters, but increased communication overall and the clarity of communication will lead to reduced anxiety amongst the trainees. It is good to know who your players are and what makes them tick. This will help you stay away from triggers that might cause an unwanted response. For example, if you have someone fairly soft-hearted and you are required to give them negative feedback, yelling or screaming at them is likely to do more harm than good. It isn't always a good time to speak about negative feedback either. Knowing when and where to give negative feedback is important. Even whilst doing so, being respectful and framing it positively is going to be more effective. Adding thoughts of how they can improve as well would promote growth and learning rather than just pointing out their flaws. Dealing with setbacks and challenges are not always easy. Mark focuses on the team in times as such. Treating players with respect and reminding them of their roles and importance to the team can help with morale. Monitoring your own reactions is also important, as from a coaching and leadership position, it is very easy to influence the mood of your players. Setting key values for the team to follow also helps, as when things don't end up going well, there's something to refocus on. Mark's future advice is similar to what he has said about coaching. He mentions connections and networking is very important. Both in the real world and in coaching, relatedness is an important part of how people perceive you. He also mentions to ask as many questions as you can. It is important to keep learning, and it is important to have mentors in one's life to help guide you to your goals. Being true to yourself is about integrity and includes doing what you want to do with passion and effort, whether it be coaching or not. It also implies owning up to your mistakes and taking responsibility for your actions, both beneficial and detrimental.
Coaching has quite a few definitions that are context-specific and varies a little from definition to definition. Coaching generally refers to unlocking and optimizing someone's maximum potential and performance in certain aspects. To be specific, to help a person choose their direction and goals, change and correct behaviors and attitudes that don't align with set goals, awaken their awareness on self-motivation, and giving them the tools to perform at their best. To achieve this, usually building up one's mindset and raising their responsibilities are crucial, which includes interests, beliefs, principles, and constant action. Put simply, coaching is to help someone learn instead of teaching him or her. Or rather, the coaching process facilitates learning. Traditionally, coaching is closely in accordance with sports and exercise. Coaches are everywhere in these areas and industries. However, recently coaching has been identified as a bond between any two or more people, built upon the premise of one, the coach striving to maximize the potential of the other or others in some specific aspects. This includes sport and exercise, but also career, education, and health. As mentioned before, a qualified coach in any of these contexts will assist the individual to aim at what they want, correct their behaviors, and produce the ideal or planned results. Coaching is as well different from other similar concepts. To mentor means a senior behaves like a role model and perceives much more knowledge and experience. Mentors require to be informed and acknowledged in a field, providing professional and expert suggestions to aid the development of their mentees. In reference, coaches are not required to be professionals in the same field. They just need the knowledge and the methods of teaching appropriately to that particular field. Meanwhile, a counselor works mainly to help solve a client's personal, social, and psychological problems. A teacher knows information a student doesn't and tries to impart that knowledge. For the student, it's not necessarily by learning or memorizing. Consultants are usually experts in their fields whom you go to for specific advice and guidance, and aren't as involved in the process of teaching as coaches are. A trainer is an expert in the contextual field as well, usually helping a trainee to obtain the knowledge and skills required to perform at the desired level. One could argue a trainer targets more specific skill sets, while a coach plays a more overall role, physiological and psychological, in the development of an individual. Last but not least, therapists work solely on the customer's mental or physical health problems, helping them find the relief they need for their problems and issues in life. They too strive to achieve certain goals with their patients. However, coaching is a more overall and all-encompassing concept. Tracing back to traditional coaches in sports and exercise, they help players or athletes to bring their potential into a fully developed state and perform their best in the field. They do so by instructing, advising, and encouraging. Sports coaches need to enhance the bond between players and themselves, with the bond consisting of mutual trust and respect, as well as clear communication. As sports and recreational activities are gaining in popularity and have become increasingly important in community involvement, the number of participants is only increasing. Coaches are integral to this process. Sports work as glue at the community level, gathering people together and giving individuals a sense of purpose, as well as equipping them with life skills and helping them improve their physical and mental health. A good sports coach helps maximize participants' enjoyment, expertise, performance, and all other benefits from the sport or activity.
For our interview with a coach, we interviewed Mr. Norman Anthony, a badminton coach with experience in coaching all levels of play. Here is what we've found. What is coaching to you? Coaching is the guidance of someone in all aspects that will help them develop further. Improvements are not limited to badminton-specific skills. For example, I may focus on a player's confidence during a game. In order to foster that, I would encourage them to take on more general leadership roles, as this would develop their confidence both during games and in the real world. How do you think you should approach coaching someone new? I would always try and build a good rapport with them first, so that they enjoy themselves every time we meet, and wish to continue coming back. How does the style of coaching change as the level of the player improves? As the player improves, it's clear to see that they are seeking to improve further, otherwise why would they keep coming back? So I would increase the intensity of the work, and might even change from a softer, relaxed style to one that's a bit more strict. I try to keep the player's needs and desires in mind as I run the session, so compared to coaching someone for the first time, I would have a much more concrete structure to our sessions as I get to know the participant. Does your attitude to the coaching also change with a shift in style? I don't think my attitude changes at all. I always want them to keep coming back, so I always want them to enjoy themselves. I might become a little more demanding with my coaching though, a little more driven to achieve our goals. Do you find that there are times when you feel like you have to do something as a coach that you wish you didn't have to do? Many times. It's not in my nature to be hard and strict when pushing players' boundaries, so when it comes down to it, I have to tell myself that this is in the player's best interest, and although they are struggling, this is the best way for them to improve. In order to push past any doubts, I trust in my knowledge and experience in setting achievable goals as a coach. What do you find the most rewarding from your coaching? Every time a student comes along who has never played before, and I manage to get them hitting the shuttle and having fun, their smiles tell me thank you. It reminds me that what I'm doing does make a difference, helps them get better, and now we share badminton as a common interest. As we can see, there is a deep emotional bond formed between coaches and their players. Yet they are restricted in certain regards to maintain an effective distance between themselves. Although the relationship may change over time, at its core, coaching requires a fine balance of familiarity and formality that is not as present in more traditional forms of aid.